Alright! Pull up your socks, roll up your sleeves. It's time to get active with Radioactive 90.4 megahertz. Get active!
Hello friends, you are listening to Radioactive 90.4, Bangalore's first community radio station. Hope. And today we have Mr. Sachin Kodagali, who has a decade experience in IT testing, an author and a fan of cricket. Today we will chat on careers in IT and a journey of an author. Welcome Sachin.
Yeah, hi Santosh.
Could you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, I am Sachin Kodagali. I have worked with two top MNCs in the past, like Yahoo and Microsoft. Currently, I am working with MNC. I have been into testing from last 14 years. And as you said, I am an avid cricket fan. And I have also authored a book called BUGman.
Okay. Thank you, Sachin. Sachin, you have several years of experience as an IT test engineer. We also call them IT testers. Also known as QA or QE, right? The quality assurance or quality engineers, right?
Yes.
In different organization. So could you tell to our listeners who is a tester and a developer in an IT?
Yeah, so both developers and testers are the people who actually improve the quality of a product. So they are here to improve the quality of products, ensure that their customers use best products, right? But the difference is that developers actually develop it. For example, there is a feature or there is any new sort of code they have to write, which developers do, and testers actually scrutinize or criticize that so that the customers don't face any issues, right? So testers are the ones who wear the hat of customers, right? And they have to ensure that the product is of good quality.
Oh, I see. Okay. There is also a kind of myth, I believe, I'm not sure, maybe you can clarify it, that a lot of fresh engineers feel that developer position is more better than a tester.
Yeah, that's true because there are a lot of development openings in the software industry, right? That's because the amount of startups which have come in recently, there are a lot of developer options and there are a lot of different variety of technologies in which developers can test their skills. However, testing is a very interesting kind of a job, right? There is no written manual or book for testing, right? You have to learn and experience it. And it's a very tricky sort of thing because you have to break a product, then you have to make it. So it is not the easiest thing. So being a tester, you can do troubleshooting as well as you can do development of your test automation code, which we can talk about it later also. So yeah, it is not a myth. It is a fact that developers have a lot of openings, there are a lot of opportunities, but testers also have a lot of options in industry to enhance their skills and to grow further.
Okay, that is interesting. To let our listeners know that Sachin has published a book titled BUGman. Sachin, could you tell our listeners what is that book is about?
Yeah, so BUGman, the whole concept is what developer or testers do, right? When they are testing a product, what sort of defects they file. So defects are called as bugs in the software industry. So BUGman is basically a cubicle life and beyond. So we have captured like how people work in a cubicle, what happens behind the scenes, right? So people who are fresh, who are trying to get into the college or trying to get into the software industry, don't know what happens in the industry. So this book captures life of two testers who are like trying to settle into the industry, or they are also avid testers. They are trying to improve the quality of the products, and it also explains what are the processes involved, like what are the interviews which happen, right? And some funny experiences around testing and their lives.
Oh, that's interesting. The title seems very catchy, BUGman, right? And why did you chose a title something like called as BUGman?
See, if you see the front cover of the book, right, it's really interesting. What are the different kinds of bugs, right? So for example, what happens now is that people often criticize testers because they actually try to be critical of the product, and people may not like it, right? So BUGman is the one who wears the hat of a customer, yet he is criticizing a product which he has to love, right? So ultimately he is like a very challenging kind of a job. So there are like two people here who we named as Sa and Sa, right? They are trying to wear the hat and they are trying to criticize the product and still love it and love the people around and work with them. Hence, we thought that this is an appropriate title for the book.
So there is always a tug of war between the developers and testers.
Definitely. I would say one very short example here,
Okay.
which happened in one of my previous organizations. So what happened was we had a showcase kind of a thing where every team was showcasing their different products or the different work they have done in the last year. So what we did, and it's very close to BUGman, so we placed a lot of bugs in front of our showcase kind of theme, right? Before anybody enters our booth, right? So what happened is all the developers who came in were surprised to see all the bugs. Bugs are like insects. We put some pictures.
Right. Okay.
So as soon as they came in, they started hitting them, trying to kill them, right?
Okay.
But ultimately in real world they cannot do that because there will be bugs in the software.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was an interesting
Now,
experience.
looking into this, we hear a lot of cyber security issues. I'm sure this is related to bug. Are we right about it?
Yeah, that is one part of testing, security testing, where loopholes in the product, right? How can a security person or any person can gain the whole system and do anything? For example, you hear a lot of Facebook hacking or Yahoo email hacking or Gmail hacking, right? They gain the whole control of the email and they can do anything with that. There may be terrorists or anything else.
Okay.
So it is one of the important aspects of testing.
Oh, that's interesting. You have spent about a decade in a career in a testing role, and companies like you worked with Yahoo and Microsoft. How rewarding this tester's career is for you?
It is really rewarding. The great thing about testing is that you obviously have to be criticized, and you will be criticizing the product. That's the fun part. The second good thing is you get to meet a lot of people around, like customers, developers, marketing people, sales, right? You get a whole end-to-end knowledge of the system. That is one other advantage of being a tester. The other thing is that there are a lot of opportunities in the companies. For example, there will be bug bashes, there will be hack days. There are a lot of opportunities in which testers can showcase his skills. So that also makes tester's career rewarding.
Oh, okay. We don't hear much. We mostly hear a hackathon from developers or like this, but there are also bug bashers, right?
Yes.
Is a day also celebrated or done for testers?
So bug bashes is like you have a product, and all the testers community or even developers come in and they understand what the product is, what are the requirements, and they'll try to test that product.
Oh,
right?
lovely.
And they'll try to file bugs on that. So that way, before it goes to customers, lot of people other than the actual team gets to work on it.
Okay. So understanding that you had almost a decade career in Yahoo and Microsoft, just out of curiosity, which was your toughest bug that you probably debugged?
So there were many toughest bugs we debugged, but one of the most interesting we debugged was like assume that there is a website called, say, BUGman. It's a website,
Okay.
right? And there is a website called as DevMan, right? So when there is a search button or like a Google, right? Google.com, when you go, you can search anything. Assume that in BUGman, I search, say, something like testing, right? What if the result comes with DevMan as the website, right? In the BUGman website,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So the relevancy of the results, right, is very important. If you search something, it should be relevant to that.
Right.
So we found in one of my previous companies that there was a relevancy issue with respect to this. If you search something, it was not giving the results related to your website. It was giving related to competitor website. For example, if you search in Google, say search, best search engine, if it gives Bing or Yahoo, that's not a great thing, right? It should give Google as the first result.
Right, yeah.
So that's how we found one of the interesting bugs, and we found that there was a bug in the relevancy, like the way they ordered the results and ranked the results, and then we found it and we fixed it.
Oh, okay. So there is a challenge even for people who create search engines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of freshers will have this confusion about developer role and tester role. Assuming that they want to move for a tester role, okay, how does this role look like for them?
See, testers generally get into SDET kind of a role. So it's like software development engineer in test. So it has both developer and tester.
Can you please repeat that to our listeners?
Yeah, it's SDET. SDET. The full form of that is software development engineer in test.
Okay.
So what happens in this role is he also tests, he criticizes, he improves the quality of the product, but he also writes code to do that. So that will actually help him hone the skills of a developer. He can move to development positions also, and also he can improve the way the product is released, right? He doesn't need to test the same thing again and again. For example, if there is a search engine, I have to search 100 things, right? I don't need to go enter every time 100 keywords, right? That gives us it takes a lot of time to do that, right? So if he kinds of automates that, he can finish it within seconds or minutes. So that will also improve his skills, and it will also make the product released to the market faster.
Oh,
That is one of the areas which testers have been working on from the last 5 to 10 years, which is actually the most important skill which tester needs to have in these days.
Okay, now taking what you said now that a tester probably have to master what they are. So assuming that, like, could you tell us possible way where somebody can become strong in testing?
Yeah, so to become strong in testing, right, you have to look around things, you have to be aware of the things, right, and you have to think out of the box. You can't just think of whatever is there, right? If, for example, I go to say Yahoo Mail, I just don't need to think about checking my mails or composing my mail. How can I break that system, right? So he has to be aware of things. He has to be aware of the industry, the best practices. And the other challenging aspect of testing is that there are a lot of testing types. For example, it's not just going to a product and checking it, whether it is fast or not, whether it is usable or not. For example, if you go in Google and search, say, India, and if India results are coming after 6th or 7th result, then the tester or any product user has to scroll down, which again takes time. Right. So tester has to be aware of that fact. He has to ensure that the people don't need to look around. It should be, the result should be very fast to catch.
Right. Yeah. So I think it goes beyond one page. People may not even look into search.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. There are plenty of online resources available for people to access. Then there is also popular something known as open source community, right? Open source community. And how does it help for anyone who want to learn from this?
So open source community, the best thing about it is when a fresher comes into the market or the industry, right, for searching a job, he doesn't know what to do, right? He may have done projects which are not related to the software industry. So he can do open source projects in which what happens is I go to a website like sourceforge.net, right? There will be lot of products or features which will be available, which will be developed and tested in the community. So people come and contribute freely there. So he can go there, he can understand the requirements and he can test the product and he can file the bugs and they'll also acknowledge it. So he can put those same things which he has done in his CV, in his resume. That will highlight his experience when he goes for a job search. And also there are a lot of open source projects in which you can learn a lot of new things. For example, if somebody is interested in developing a kernel, for example, he can go to such things and hone his skills.
Okay, so what you're saying is there's already plenty of online resource available which is at free to access.
Exactly.
And maybe a little some kind of a material like a book format. Which probably will help them to know more about about industries and the roles.
Yes.
But I also see a lot of people running to various institutions to do courses. So how does that add value?
See, you have to do courses which are classroom courses. You can't, online there are a lot of resources, but the direction is not there. So if you do some courses, you will get the direction. But once you become little bit of, you have some intermediate knowledge or you have basic knowledge, you can start going through these online courses also.
Okay, so you say some classroom courses are important as well, but that have to be picked very carefully and judged and taken.
Yes, so somebody who doesn't know anything has to start with classroom to get the direction.
Okay. As an author of a BUGman and having experience of so many years in industry and testing, could you give us few career tips to our listeners, especially freshers who are looking for a jobs to begin, or people who are in middle level, like they have spent about like 5-6 years and they are in dilemma of continuing or not continuing the same career?
Yeah, so freshers, what they should do is they should be knowing the basics of whatever they want to do, right? If they want to get into software industry, they should know a programming language and a scripting language, right? And once they get in, right, they should start learning. Every day you spend 1 hour on learning things, right? That is the most important, even for an experienced person also, that holds good, right? And for a 5 to 6 years person, he has to see if he has to continue in the same direction or switch, because what happens is after 6-7 years of industry experience, right, you tend to need skills which are beyond, right? And people look for skills beyond. For example, if a tester is just doing some manual testing, basic testing, right, that is not enough for a 5 or 6 years person, right? Similarly, for a developer who is just fixing the bugs, that may not be enough. He has to be proficient in writing a lot of new code, or he has to learn new programming languages which the company supports, right? He cannot say that I'll only do what I know, right? That may not hold good. So for 5 to 6 years, definitely they have to take some risks also, and they have to learn new things so that their next 5-10 years will be smoother.
Okay, so having said this, could you just tell us few things, or like any fresh graduate who is moving out of college and want to take up a job in a company, what are the minimum prerequisites you think they should have default when they apply for an organization?
See, one is communication. That is a no-brainer. So they have to actually be good in communication.
Okay.
Other than that, technical skills, if you ask me, right, they should, for example, know how to troubleshoot. For example, if his system only crashes, what he can do. That is one basic thing, for example. Or if an application crashes, for example, google.com tomorrow, if it goes to 404 page, right? Wrong page or something.
Right, yeah.
What he has to do. And then what are the different programming languages he can learn, right? What are the things which companies ask? So a lot of websites now currently in which like LinkedIn or Glassdoor, which help them to understand what companies ask. So he can prepare really well before going to the interviews.
Okay. There is also one thing about IT industry. Typically seen that you walk in at the right time, but you never know what time going to walk out. Okay. So how do you see this people should look forward for a career like this?
See, there are risks involved. Sometimes there will be things which are in your control, but there are some times in which things are not in your control, right? For example, if the organization is doing well, but your business unit is not doing well, then it may impact. Or if you are not doing it, definitely it may impact, right? So yeah, keep learning new things, keep contributing to the organization in the best way, right? Keep participating in different forums, that will help. And also keep a good interpersonal relationship with everybody. That is very important also in the IT industry. But yeah, be prepared that anything can happen. It may happen, anything can happen. In BUGman book also we have highlighted this a lot, that anything can happen and how people should be ready for their future.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Listeners, till now we heard about careers in IT and journey of an author from Sachin Kodagali for the series of Hope at Radioactive CR 90.4. We're closing session and would like to thank Sachin. Please dial 22355 490 22355 490 for your suggestion and feedback. In case you missed listening to the talk, it will be available at the website www.soundcloud.com. I repeat again, www.soundcloud.com. Be active and keep listening to Radioactive. Before I sign off, let me tell you a few lines written by कासिफ बुल्डानवी. धरती की प्यास को बादल बुझाएगा, जो आज बोया है वो कल पाएगा, और जो हंसते हैं आज मेरी छोटी सी इस हार पर, मैं क्या कहूँ उन्हें ये कल ज़माना बताएगा. So keep hope. Signing off, yours RJ Santosh. Thank you.
Talk shows, lectures, documentaries, discussions, arguments, information, education, entertainment, infotainment, music, drama, theatre and more. Only on Radioactive 90.4 MHz. Get active.